Howdy YouTube. Welcome to the third in our series on early 20th century sleeping bags. Now, even though the title of this video is the first real sleeping bag, I don't want anybody to go away from this video with the impression that what I'm about to show you is the first sleeping bag. It's nowhere close to the first sleeping bag. It is what I define as the first American sleeping bag, first commercially viable American sleeping bag. Now, it's my video and it's my channel. I can make my definitions the way I want to. So that's what we're doing. We're going to be talking about American sleeping bags. And most of the equipment that we're going to be talking about is going to be American camping equipment, gear, etc., and so forth. Which brings us to the subject of this video, the Kenwood sleeping bag, what I consider to be the first commercially viable American-produced sleeping bag, which came about as a result of rampant employee theft. Kenwood was the fourth company in the history of the United States to be formed to produce a material called paper felt, which it's not made out of paper and it really isn't felt. What it is a special process used to weave wool and then is joined together to form circular covers to fit around rollers that are used in the production of paper. After it's woven, it's pressed and compressed and felted, but it's not felt. It's, I'll tell you later. Let's take a look at this. Ground up wood pulp is mixed with water and other chemicals to form a slurry. Now that slurry is then poured onto a wire screen mesh, a continuous wire screen that pulls that pulp into some rollers that will flatten the pulp and squeeze a lot of the moisture out. The resulting paper that comes out of that is still very wet, and it goes through a series of drying rollers, as we see here. Now, this picture here shows one of the machines that was in use at the time that Kenwood started making sleeping bags out of roller covers. And if you look on the far right where those three guys are standing, that's what the dryer roller covers look like. And what you're seeing there is the woolen roller covers that are on the rollers right behind those three guys. Now, it wasn't fully processed. The wool wasn't fully processed. It still had a lot of lanolin in it, which meant that it could repel water fairly well. And after weaving, it was pressed, which is where we get the felt. Felt is a fabric that is made by pressing fibers together so much that they bond. But that wasn't actually the process used. The wool was woven like a blanket and then it was pressed, which is where they get the word felting. These were made in huge rolls, just like blankets, cut to length, and then the parts, the blanket length pieces of fabric were sent out to local contractors, most of them women working in the home, who would very painstakingly join the ends together so that it would appear to be seamless and not make any interruption as it rotated and the paper went over it. What happened was the Kenwood company discovered that they weren't getting as many finished cylinders back at the factory as they were sending unfinished flat sheets out. And they came to the realization that people were using these for blankets. It was a good, nice, warm blanket. The other thing they realized was that once they got these cylinders back into the factory, there weren't as many going out the door to customers as there were in the doors from the contractors, and they found out that people were using these to either make the employees in the factory were using these either to cut them and make blankets out of them, or they were making a bag-like sleeping arrangement. Now, Kenwood was already selling blankets and some clothing, woolen clothing, out of remnants from this process of making these cylinders. But now all of a sudden, their employees are doing something a little different. They're sleeping inside the damn cylinders. Well, what do we do with this? How do we make money at this? Well, you try a lot of different things. So Kenwood started marketing just about everything up against the wall to see what would stick. How about let's sell them to affluent cruise goers so that they can sit out on deck and not get cold in the North Atlantic winters? They might be popular with sanatoriums and hospitals to let patients sit outside in the cold and take in the fresh air. The growing health and wellness movement around the country said students should sit outside and do their work outside so they can breathe that nice, fresh air. So let's sell them to schools. Let's sell them to ranchers and farmers who have to stay outside a lot. This was the idea that stuck. Now, what was it that made that idea stick? Sleeping outside in a wool cylinder. Well, it can be summed up in one word: gold. So suddenly, the market for outdoor sleeping arrangements exploded. And the Kenwood Company took full advantage of that marketing opportunity. So not only were there thousands of people headed to the Klondike in need of sleeping bags suddenly, but the imagination of the American people was fired by journalists writing back, guys like Jack London. Robert Service was writing poetry, and suddenly the end of the frontier didn't mean anything anymore. We had a new frontier. We could go to Alaska and find gold, or at least we could be like those guys. So for about close to 20 years, Kenwood's marketing for the bag pretty much centered on its use in the Yukon. Things shifted a little bit as we get close to the First World War, but that was pretty much it. Now, the original design of the 1893 bag was a simple woolen cylinder sewn at the bottom with snaps to keep you shut. There was no waterproof, no weatherproof covering. Looked something like this. Now, by 1897, it had gained a second bag and a waterproof canvas overcover, which made it excellent for the intended use in the Yukon. It looked like this. And it was fastened together using a system of leather toggles and grommets. It looked like this. As far as collectability goes, it is probably one of the most collectible American sleeping bags ever made, being as how it was the first really successful one. But the early ones are very difficult to find. I have not yet found any photographs, any pictorial evidence of the original canvas overcover. I have seen pictures of two Kenwood bags. One is this one. The other is this one. And in this picture, you can see it laying on my target rug in my drawing room of my palatial suburban estate. Now, in order to help the collector and the student of early 20th century sleeping bags, the last few minutes of this video are going to be on the construction of the early 1895 bag. The age of this bag is somewhere between 1895 and about 1907, 8, 9, 10, something like that. We'll tell you a little bit more about that later. It is 6 feet long by 3 feet wide when it's laid flat out. And the slit in the center of the bag is 25 inches long. So here's the first thing that you're looking for. The Kenwood Mills, this is the first logo tag used, and you can see patented March 26th, 1895. The opening, the slit is about, we'll measure that here in a second, but you can see the placement of these toggles. 1, 2, 3 in kind of a diagonal direction. Then we have one here with the second piece, and then another, it is a different shape, and then this one up here, which is a loop, and then here a single grommet. Now I don't know if that means that it's missing one of these parts or it was meant to be open like that. Now the toggles that attach the sleeping bag to the canvas outer cover or to another bag are very distinctive. There's a metal part right here, and these are two separate pieces. You have a latigo strap here that affixes this, and then these would go over one of these tabs here in order to hold things together. But here we have another tab. It's a different kind of tab. Now, the corners of the bottom of the bag are rounded. And the only visible seam in the whole bag is this one here at the bottom of the bag, where they have folded it over and sewn it shut. Somewhere on the surface of this bag, longitudinally, there is a place where the women took a single sheet and joined it together. But I can't find it. They did such a wonderful job of joining this together. When I first got it, I thought that the bag had been woven as a cylinder. It was only after a little bit of reading that I found out that these were sent out from the factory as flat blankets that were then joined together with a seam so fluid, so invisible, that it wouldn't affect the shape of the paper as it rolled over it while the paper was being made and all that water was being squeezed out. It's truly an amazing piece of work, really. In 1907, old man Kenwood, the founder of the company, retired and turned the business over to his sons, who seemed to have shifted the focus of the business to making blankets rather than paper felt cylinders. They continued doing so, but they started selling a whole lot more blankets. And you can see in this example that comes from the Pope County Museum in Glenwood, Minnesota, that the bag has gained a very visible front seam. This is where they've taken a blanket and sewn it together to form the cylinder rather than sending it out to women and pay that wage to make it invisible. We've also gained a set of what I call wings there at the opening of the bag, apparently to better close it off. By the 30s or 40s, these wings have disappeared. So I would call this a middle production variant. Probably produced more of these with the wings than they did without. Well, there you have it, the first commercially viable sleeping bag in the United States. The important design concept I see here with the Kenwood bag is that of modularity. The way these were marketed was that you could buy 1 or 2 bags or the canvas overcover, or you could buy the entire set. And then you could use 1 bag or 2 bags depending on temperature. It's my belief that one of the reasons why we don't encounter as many of the canvas overcovers as we do the individual bags is because of this marketing where you could you didn't have to buy that canvas overcover. If you were going to be camping out in a tent, if you were motor camping in the 1920s and wanted a sleeping bag and you were sleeping inside of a tent, you didn't need the canvas overcover. If you were only going to be camping in the Adirondacks in August, well, you only need 1 of those wool sleeping bags. And you can see that the design changed over time. The Kenwood company apparently was very, very good at listening to customer feedback, that's another thing that has become extremely important in the outdoor industry. If you want to make one of these, I can send you along. Contact me on Bannerman's Camp, and I can provide you with more photographs and measurements if you wish. Making the World War I bag seems to be a fairly simple, straightforward reproduction. I'm going to attempt to make one. I went out and bought a serger. All I have to do is get over being intimidated by the machine. Other than that, our next video is going to be on one more woolen bag. This one that actually comes from across the ocean, but was marketed here in the United States and has pretty much the same pedigree as the Kenwood bag, although a bit more hoity-toity. We'll see you next time. Wait. Now, some of y'all don't know, but I do these videos a couple weeks in advance, and I schedule them to come out once every 8 days. This, as I am speaking right now, this video is scheduled to go out tomorrow, and I just now got this. This is the second half of the Kenwood sleeping bag interior wool bag system. It's not canvas overcover. I don't think I'm ever going to find one of these. But I got blessed, and I got the second half. So what we're going to do is we're going to do another short video on this immediately after this one. We're going to have to wait on the hoity-toity sleeping bag 1 video as I do this. What we're going to try to do is try to figure out how to put these 2 sleeping bags together using those leather toggle thingies. Should be interesting. I'll tell you a little bit more about this in a few days. See you then.